We see luxury cars and private jets online, and it's easy to think building a business is a quick leap to instant wealth. But the reality of creating something from nothing looks a lot less glamorous. Take Raj. He didn't grow up with coding boot camps or venture capital connections. He was born in a remote mountain village with a single school, where expectations for his future began and ended with helping his father farm the local land. When a visiting speaker validated his ambitions, it created a rift between Raj's inner world and his surroundings. His father warned him to focus on the soil, telling him that big dreams were a distraction from a farmer's life. But Raj looked at the mountains and no longer saw a home. He saw a barrier. He finished high school, ignored the safety of the village, and chose the uncertainty of the city. He stepped off a bus into the crushing, deafening crowds of Delhi. Moving from the quiet shade of a banyan tree to an expensive, hyper-competitive city without any money or connections is a fast way to get swallowed whole. Before you can disrupt an industry, you have to pay rent. For Raj, the starting line of his tech company was a dirty apron at a local cafe. He spent his days pouring coffee and scrubbing plates, trading physical exhaustion for the tiny bit of cash he needed to survive while planning his first real move. He eventually saved up enough cafe wages to launch his first online business, and it failed. Customers slowly trickled away, the revenue dried up, and within months, every rupee he had scrubbed dishes for was entirely gone. Sitting alone on the floor of a dark, rented room, he had a psychological wall. Ambition doesn't pay the bills, and passion doesn't fix a broken business model. He had to face the cold truth that simply wanting to succeed guarantees absolutely nothing. So he stopped focusing on his own desires and started observing the city around him. He noticed that people in Delhi were constantly starved for time, struggling to complete basic daily chores. He realized a home delivery app targeting these everyday errands could solve a very real, very frustrating local problem. He didn't have the cash to hire a developer, so he became one. After finishing a 12-hour shift at the cafe, he would stay awake using free online tutorials to teach himself how to code an application from scratch. With a rough concept in hand, he reached out to old friends. He didn't pitch them a guaranteed massive return. He showed them his relentless drive and the early code he'd built. That raw conviction secured a few small investments to finish the app's prototype. Resilience is the mechanical, often exhausting process of acquiring new, hard skills. It is the physical and mental stamina required to bridge the gap between a conceptual dream and a viable, functioning product. The prototype launched, and almost immediately it started falling apart. The app crashed under user load, delivery drivers missed their time windows, and frustrated early adopters flooded his inbox with complaints. He couldn't market his way out of a broken system, so he tore the process down, line by line. He patched the broken code, optimized his delivery routes for the chaotic city traffic, and personally trained a support team. Just as the back end stabilized, his primary supplier abruptly pulled out of their contract. Without inventory, the entire network froze instantly. Everything was paralyzed. There was no clever technical fix for this. Raj hit the pavement. He walked from neighborhood to neighborhood, pitching his platform face-to-face to independent shop owners, manually piecing together a decentralized supply chain of local vendors. If you want to run a company, you have to be willing to do the dirty work. Scaling a business often means abandoning the spreadsheet, putting on your shoes, and solving catastrophic operational failures one physical conversation at a time. This chart shows exactly how that ground-level hustle paid off. With a resilient, decentralized network of suppliers locked in, his fulfillment rate stabilized and his monthly revenue surged, breaking all his previous records by massive margins. But success paints a target on your back. Seeing his explosive growth, heavily funded corporations started rolling out subsidized clones of his application to try and drown him out. Raj knew he couldn't win a spending war against corporate giants. Instead of burning cash on ads, he stepped in front of the camera and told his users exactly who he was. He shared his journey from a mountain village to washing dishes in Delhi, creating a deeply personal brand loyalty that a faceless corporation could not buy. Despite the growth, Raj felt increasingly isolated. He was a celebrated entrepreneur in the city, but he hadn't heard his mother's voice in months or felt the mountain air of his youth. The more he focused on scaling metrics, the more he realized he had built a life that was disconnected from the very people and values that drove him to start. He went back home and channeled his profits into building a proper school and a dedicated technical training center for his village. He provided the exact tools, computers, and education that he had been forced to leave home to find. Bringing an ambitious idea to life is a brutal, exhausting process of testing yourself against reality and surviving the failures. If you are ready to do the actual work to build your own vision, drop a comment saying, "I will never give up," and make that commitment right now.